Live, and today I'm hoping that all is good. Of course, everything changes constantly when it comes to technology, and YouTube changed the way you go live just slightly, and I'm like, oh, wait, this is different. So I'm waiting for it to show up here on my screen. Okay, yep, looks like we're orientation is right. That was the main thing I was worrying about, and still crazily crooked. And golly, my desktop looks like a mess, and so. All right, let's try this. Wiggling a few things around here, see if we can get a little straighter, maybe, although I think I made it worse. Okay. Hopefully that's better. Okay, I think I got it finally. I'm going to stop moving stuff around. So, hey, Sally, thanks for hopping in today. And Barbara, I appreciate it. And Judy's here as well. So, thanks for joining a little bit late today. Had my daughter's IEP over at school, and I would have made it home like just in the nick of time, but I hated to push it that close, and I wasn't sure we'd be ready and back home by 2 o'clock. So I was kind of glad I had a minute to breathe and come back here at 3:30 with y'all instead. So I see Pam and Carol and Joan and Stephanie are all here as well. So thanks for joining. This is the card that we're going to be making today. It's a pretty quick and easy one. Hey, Leslie, thanks for hopping in. I made it with the heart-shaped die or stamp set and die bundle, which is one of the free items that you can get during celebration. So it's a pretty awesome little deal. Always love free. So hey, Judith and Roxanne, thanks for joining. So yeah, that's what we're going to be making today. The heart-shaped stamp set is very pretty. Love that little kind of heart wreath that you've got in here. There's a little floral set, and then there's some little greenery down here, some little leaves. And then we got a couple sentiments. I used the thank you on my card today. There's a just because I care, and my thoughts of you are all heart-shaped. And hello, and my heart loves your heart. So it can be a Valentine's Day anniversary, again, just a thank you like I did. So all sorts of good sentiments in here, and free. Who doesn't love that? So hey, Denise and Bobby and Jeanette and Debbie, thanks for joining today. So there's a coordinating set of dies that goes with the stamp set. And again, these are bundled together, so you get both the stamp set and the dies for free. It's one of the items you can pick for free with an order of $120 or greater during Stampin' Up! Celebration event that is running now through the end of February. So it's a really great deal because, it's free and it's a bundle. So the dies have this really pretty kind of viney heart die. And then there's your sentiment die here, the little leaves that I used on my card today. There's a flower die that's really pretty. And then just again, some little flowers and leaves here. So these are all accessory dies. This will cut out your flowers, and this will cut out most of your sentiments. Obviously, this one you're not going to be able to cut with that. But every other sentiment will fit inside here if you want to use this as your sentiment die. So, all right, set that aside for a second. And again, you do get the stamp set and the dies both when you order $120 or greater. That's one of the items you can pick from during celebration. I also used the Stylish Shapes dies. I used the largest of the circle dies on here. And then I did use, because I, of course, had to layer it up. I can't just have one circle. I had to layer it up with one of the Spotlight on Nature dies. And this is the one that I used. I don't know the names of these. I don't know what to call them. So I call it a dashed circle in my blog post. So just so you know, it's the one that's got kind of little dashes and circles on it. And it's the largest of the dies that have this die cut edge on it, I guess, and it measures about 3 3/8 across. So that is the die that I used to cut out the layer underneath here. And again, these are Spotlight on Nature dies, and these are the Stylish Shapes dies, and they're both available in the current annual catalog. All right, a couple things before we get going. So I see Danette is here and Heather as well. Thanks for joining. I am doing a double reward points ordering bonus for all orders of $50 or greater placed through my online store or through me during the first week of celebration. So I'm running this through Monday, what is it, January 13th, I guess will be that date. So for every order of $50 or greater, you're going to earn 2 of my Running Shoe reward points instead of just 1. So my points work for every $50 that you order from me, you get 1 point towards a free purchase from me, or free order from me, I guess it is. So when you collect 8 of my reward points, you get a free $40 order of your choice. So normally it would take you a $400 order to get that but right now a $200 order and you get a free $40 order from me. So that's double points through Monday, January 13th. Let me know if you have questions about that. Sorry, I'm a little scattered still, clearly. And let me know if you have questions. Details are posted on my blog, which is stampwithamyk.com. And then I also did want to remind you, in addition to the new catalog that is started, the new mini catalog, Stampin' Up! Has some beautiful new online exclusive items that are available. A bunch of them just started on the 7th of January. There's lots of pretty things to pick from. This is a very, very small sampling of the items that are out there right now in the online exclusives. So make sure that you're taking a look at that section of the online store. Every time you go in to put in an order, you don't want to miss any of the good stuff on there. These items are not tied to any catalog. There's no set time frame on how long they will be around. They're available while they're available. So if you see something you like, go grab it. Earlier is better. All right. Any other questions, let me know. Again, all this will be on my blog tomorrow. The details for my double reward point ordering bonus are on my blog already. So go take a look at anything out there. And blog is stampwithamyk.com. So hey, Cynthia and Shannon and Deb, I'm glad everybody's joining today. And I know lots of you are getting snow. Actually, believe it or not, in New Jersey, we're not getting any snow today. So I'm not sad about that. I'm happy to see that, some areas of the country that don't normally get snow are getting snow. So I know my friends in Atlanta all had kind of the day, the schools were all closed down there. And so, yeah, it sounds like nobody's out and driving around, which is definitely a good thing. This designer series paper is from the Mixed Media Florals Designer Series paper pack, which is one of the new online exclusive items that I was just yucking about here a second ago. And I'm putting it on the front of a, whoops, I got that on there all sorts of crazily crooked. Putting that on the front of a petal pink card base. Card base is cut to 8.5 by 5.5 and scored at 4 1/4 down the middle. My original card base was a 4 1/4 by 11 and scored at 5.5 across the top. So it was a top fold card base, but I usually try to show you if I have a card base available and already cut, that it can, most of my card projects you can do on either card bases that either are the top folding or the side folding. So we're doing a side folding one today. So snow coming in this evening for you, Stephanie. All right, well, stay warm. Yes, it's chilly here in New Jersey, but no snow as of right now for today anyway. We had some earlier this week. So again, I'm not going to be sad that we don't have snow. I like looking at it, all the pictures I'm seeing out online. I'm not sad that it's not ours this time. All right, so this is another piece of the Mixed Media Florals Designer Series paper. So the flip side has just got some black and white designs on it. And this is cut to about 3 inches by 5.5. So expecting snow, but just a dusting. All right. Well, yeah, like I said, originally we were supposed to be getting a little snow. That's what the forecast said earlier this week, tomorrow. But the latest forecast that I saw, the snow was gone out of it. So I don't know if there's, like I said, as far as I know, I don't think we're supposed to be getting any more here in New Jersey, at least at the very moment. So we will see. Now, I don't know if I said 3 inches by 5 1/4 is what I've cut this to. And we're just going to roughly center it and try to get it on here straight on the card front. All right, there we go. All right, staying until Sunday, that is a good idea, especially, well, again, having lived in Atlanta, it's a good idea. If you're from an area that doesn't get a lot of snow and you've got snow today, definitely stay in, because my goodness, the roads can become a huge mess down there in no time at all. So, all right, Shaded Spruce is the ink that we are using. And I've got the little wreath image from the heart-shaped stamp set bundle, and we're just going to ink this up with Shaded Spruce ink. And hopefully I'm getting some good ink on here. I did try to re-ink my ink pad because it was a little dry when I was using it to make the card. And so hopefully I'm getting a good ink here. And we're just going to stamp that on basic white cardstock. There we go. Looks like we got a pretty good image on that. And then I'm going to close that up and grab my circle die, which is the largest circle die from the Stylish Shapes dies. And we're just going to cut around this. So I'm going to go zip it through my die cutting machine. So I will be right back. grab that and get rid of all the ook from my cutting plates that are always all mangled up. Then I'm going to grab a piece of shaded spruce cardstock that I cut with one of the Spotlight on Nature dies. So again, let me grab that die set and I'll bring it back over. Whoops, I almost grabbed the wrong one. This is the die that I used. It measures about 3 3/8 inches wide, and it's kind of got a dotted dashed look. I don't know how to say that. So, all right, and I'm going to adhere these two pieces together with a little bit of Stampin' Seal. Carol's saying it's going to be cold. Hopefully you get a little snow. So, going to be cold. So, going to go ahead and stick this together here. And for those of you that are out in California, my goodness, those wildfires are crazy. I haven't looked at any of the news within the last few hours, but gosh, that looks like a huge mess out there, and sending definitely positive thoughts out to everybody dealing with that right now. My goodness, I don't know. It's very sad seeing all those homes and businesses and everything. Yikes. So again, if there's, anybody out there, definitely know we're all thinking of you all over the rest of the country. So it's definitely sad news. So I know I have a cousin that actually lives in the LA area. So far, she hasn't been evacuated yet, but I think they had a false alarm yesterday with that. There was some big evacuation order that went out, I guess, but sounds like they're staying put, at least for now. So yikes. All right, so I adhered that to the card front, the layered circles to the card front with some Stampin' Dimensionals. So do I normally stamp with the clear stamps on a piercing mat, Janet is asking. Actually, I usually have, so I don't know if you can see how thick it is, I usually have a pack of grid paper underneath me for my stamping any stamping that I do. So I don't generally tend to pull out the piercing mat. It's not a bad idea if you have one to use it, but what you want is to have something that's got a little bit of give in it when you're using those, because the stamps themselves don't have any kind of squishiness to them. Well, they're a little squishy, but they don't have the foam in between them like the red rubber stamps do. So you just want something that's got a little give. So even if it's a Stampin' Up! Catalog or something like that you can put underneath it, you'll get a much better image if you stamp on something like that. So, and I agree, Carol, it does look like a war zone out there. I mean, I just can't even believe the pictures and the videos and things that I'm seeing. So as I'm picking this off, I'm really telling you what I did here. So I've got Granny Apple Green cardstock that I cut with the kind of viney heart die from the heart-shaped stamp set bundle. And I actually, before I had cut the Granny Apple Green cardstock, I put some of the adhesive sheets, a couple little strips of that, on the back of the Granny Apple Green cardstock, and then I cut it with my die. And that's what I'm going to use to stick this to the card front. And I know that some of you do not love these adhesive sheets. For this type of gluing and die cutting and gluing, I love them. They do take a minute, and it's a little picking to get the stickers off the back. But to me, it's so worth it, because trying to put liquid glue on the back of these little tiny leaves, I would have myself and everything else glued together. And yeah, then it wouldn't stick to the card front because it'd be too busy sticking to my fingers. And yeah, I don't know. I don't do very well with liquid glue. So I find the adhesive sheets to be a much better alternative. But if you don't love them, you can certainly use liquid glue. I just like the adhesive sheets because it makes it really easy. All right, I'm just going to layer these right over the top of each other, and they're almost an exact match with the lined part of the wreath, if that makes sense. So you've got the little line on your stamped wreath and the line on your die cut wreath, and they pretty much layer right over the top of each other. And as you can see with the adhesive sheets, as long as you don't smush it down to the cardstock, it does have a little bit of give and a little bit of wiggle in there. So if you get something put down and it's not exactly where you want it to be, you can definitely move them around a little bit. And then once you get everything set where you want it to be, just give it a good smush, and that will stick it down for good. So, all right. And definitely, I mean, I agree, Carla, there's, lots of us are thinking about you guys out there. Yes. And no, we don't all hate you. So it's just, like I said, it's just really sad to see that. I just can't even imagine how horrible that must be living out there. So Carol says she hasn't had much luck with the adhesive sheets, can't get the backing off them. So for me, well, I don't know if you saw what I'd used. You can use the take your pick tool, which is what I try to have on hand, but I didn't. So paper snips is what I used instead. What I try to do when I use them, and again, it's makes them a little more fiddly, but I try not to have the entire back of my die cut covered with the adhesive sheets. So like here's a chunk and then there was another chunk that was like this or whatever. So there's a little bit where you can kind of get your paper snips or the point of your take your pick tool right underneath it and peel it up. And it'll come up in chunks, which again can be kind of annoying, but that makes it a lot easier rather than if you have the entire back of it covered, it's hard to get the one little spot to get it started. So that's why I usually use chunks of the adhesive sheets and don't cover the entire back. So hopefully that will help. Give it a try and see how you like it. Like I said, that's my tip with using them, and I love them. I use them all the time. So, all right. Oh, you're 6 hours away, Melanie. Gosh, and yeah, the wind is just. I mean, I guess I knew that the winds blew there, but I didn't realize that it was like 100 miles an hour. I mean, that's just absolutely insane wind that you guys get out there in California. And like I said, I had, I always had heard of the Santa Ana winds, but I guess I had not paid that close enough attention to realize that they blew that much. That's yikes. I mean, that'd be hard to be out in anyway. And then yikes, a fire gets started, and I can imagine it's bad. So I stamped the little flower image. It's a set of 3 flowers from the heart-shaped stamp set in petal pink ink on basic white cardstock. And I'm going to grab the die cut that coordinates with it. And we're going to run this through the die cutting machine twice to cut out both sets of the little flowers here. So I'll be off screen for just a second. Whoop, come on. Of course, my die is not wanting to cooperate. All right, so there's one little set of flowers. And my goodness. I should have grabbed my Post-it notes before trying to die cut those. I don't know why I was struggling so much, I guess, trying to hurry, and then you actually, when you try to hurry, then it makes things that much worse. So, all right. So I've got those die cut, and then I did do a little die cutting from shaded spruce cardstock ahead of time. I cut each of the little leaf sets twice. So we got 2 of the 2-leaf and 2 of the 3-leaf. And again, these come from the heart-shaped dies, so that's included as part of it. And we're just going to stick these on with a couple little glue dots here. So, all right. Gonna pop a couple of those on the back of my little leaf images first. So I'm going to take one of the little leaves and we'll stick it down here kind of towards the bottom, point it out this way maybe. There we go. And then I'm going to take one of my sets of flowers here and pick up the other little leaf here and stick it kind of on the back. I want to generally know which direction to point it, but sticking that to the back of my flower die cut, and then we're just going to place it right over the top of the wreath on this side, and then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So I've got one little glue dot there, drop the flowers, put one here in the center, and then do another one here on the edge. And we'll stick the little die cut leaves on the back, which is what I should have done the first time around, rather than sticking the leaf down, but either way, it's all good. So 4 years ago, we had 89-mile-an-hour winds. Oh my gosh. I'm sure it was, like I said, I just can't even imagine how awful that must be. And, especially since there's just nothing you can do other than get out of the way. I mean, that would be the scariest part to me, is just standing there, and not being able to do anything and being completely helpless. Goodness. So, all right. So tying a little bow here from white baker's twine. And this is from the Baker's Twine Essentials pack. And let's see if I can get it bow tied here. Sometimes my hands work better than others. And then we're going to trim off the little excess here with paper. Well, these are my ribbon scissors. They cut a little bit nicer than my paper snips do. My paper snips are a little dulled from the paper, and sometimes they kind of gnaw at gnaw at rather than cut the pretty threads and things. So going to grab a glue dot, and we will stick that on here and kind of tucking it right up here next to my circle die cuts. There we go. Take that and stick it down. And then the final thing, well, second to the last thing we have on the card front is the sentiment. So I've got a little bit of petal pink paper, cardstock. I was going to say petal pink ink, and I'm like, no, that's definitely not ink. Petal pink cardstock, Versamark ink, and I've got my thank you sentiment. I'm going to grab my little embossing buddy and rub that over the cardstock here quickly before we start the stamping. The embossing buddy just takes off any extra oil and that sort of thing from your fingers that you might happen to have on the cardstock, and takes away some of that static electricity stuff that you get, at least I get, during the winter time. And makes for a little bit nicer embossing. You don't have quite so many spare flakes floating around that stuck in places you don't want them to be. And then I've got some of the white embossing powder from the Basics Wow embossing powders. So just poured that on and shaking it off a little bit. So from Northern California, oh yes, it's so. I know, I mean, I don't know if it'd be better or worse to be in a spot in California and just be standing there watching with everybody else and not be able to do anything about it. It's so sad. I just can't even believe it. So that happened in Oregon, Roxanne? Okay, I didn't realize they got those kind of winds up there either. So, all right, so I've got the Stampin' Up! Heat tool on. Level 1 setting is for drying. So if you're going to do something like watercoloring and want to speed up the drying process a little bit, it doesn't get quite as hot as the level 2 setting. Level 2 setting is for heat embossing. So this is the Stampin' Up! Heat tool. And just going to point that here towards my project and blow a bunch of Stampin' Dimensionals all over the place like I just did. So putting the heat tool here on the sentiment. And just have to put it on there until it gets shiny and white and kind of gets, a little brighter white, I should say. It was already white, shiny and bright white. And then it's done cooking, and give it just a second to cool off before you die cut it. And I'm going to bring the dies back in from the heart-shaped dies, and we're just going to run this through the die cutting machine with this die on it. So I'll be right back. So maybe. Come on. Oh. All right, so I've got our little die cut done here. Get this out of the way. And then I'm going to grab my card front back and have things stick into my sweatshirt. And I'm going to grab a couple of my little half Stampin' Dimensionals. We're going to put one of them way over here to the right-hand side of the sentiment. And then I'm going to put a glue dot here over on the left-hand side of the sentiment to stick that, because the left-hand side is going to be on the bottom of my circles here. So I want to make sure that I don't have a dimensional underneath that part of it. I may stick a couple of other dimensionals underneath this, kind of depending on how everything lands here, but I didn't want to have too many to start with and then have it not lay down on the card front correctly. So I think we're actually going to get by with, I think that'll be just enough, because the thread underneath here is going to hold the center of the sentiment up. And then we've got dimensional under here, and we've got our glue dot over there. So we're good to go. So let me grab my Rhinestone Basic Jewels, and we're going to use the littler ones here, and we're just going to put one in the center of each of the flowers here. And if I had my Take Your Pick tool handy, which I don't know how I forget that, between that and my ribbon scissors, either one of the two I'm always forgetting when I'm getting things set up. Just Take Your Pick tool works really handy. It's got that putty end on it, and you can scoop these up and stick them right on there, speedy fast. But if you have a little bit of a fingernail, that sometimes will work too. All right, so got some of the Rhinestone Basic Jewels, stuck one to the center of each of the little flowers on there, just to give it a little bit of something sparkly on the card front. Set those aside, and then go to the inside of the card, which is basic white cardstock cut to 4 by 5 1/4. And then I've got this little half-inch piece that I trimmed off when I was cutting my pieces for my card front. And we're going to adhere that to the bottom. So again, the Designer Series paper is the mixed media I forget the word media. Mixed Media Florals Designer Series paper, which is one of the new online exclusive items. There's a whole suite that actually goes with this Designer Series paper, and the whole suite is beautiful, so you should just get it because you're going to love it. So I'm going to trim off the excess here, even with the edge of my basic white cardstock. And we'll just zip around the edges of that, and we'll put it inside the card base to finish up the card. So, all right. There we go. And then I'm going to grab my bone folder and give it a quick crease down the edge here and get a good solid crease on it. And that is it for the card. So super quick and easy. Just a couple layers of Designer Series paper, a couple layers on the circles, a few little die cuts from the heart-shaped dies, and it's all done. So there you go. That is the card for today. So I appreciate you all being here. And thanks, everybody, for sharing your notes and comments about things going on in your area. I appreciate that. And again, sending good hugs out to everybody, because like I said, I know those dealing with the snow and everything in the South are kind of in a mess, and California is kind of in a mess too. So sending hugs out to everybody. So anyway, hopefully gave you a few minutes to think about something other than that. So hopefully you have some time to stamp this weekend. Enjoy, I don't know, the weather. Looking out at the snow is always nice. Even if you have to shovel it, it's always nice to look at. So, all right. Thanks again for being here. I'll plan to be live, hopefully back at my usual time around 2 o'clock Eastern time on Tuesday. And then again around 2 o'clock Eastern time next week, Friday. We'll chat with you all soon.